War I was unlike any other. Trench warfare, advanced weaponry, aerial attacks, and vehicular attacks were something that was never seen in battle before. Because of the advances in technology, unheard of amounts of death happened in this war. Trenches ran rampant with disease, rats, and terror. Artillery shells flying through the air were uncountable. Corpses lay on the ground everywhere. Nothing ever was the same after this war.
Before the war, I was a high school student. I really didn't have any job after I got out of high school. I just got out of high school and pretty much joined the war.
When I was in the Marines, I was just a normal kid. I went to high school, public school in Georgia, and I played music. I did all the normal things that a normal kid did. After seeing these veterans, you may be wondering what made them choose to go into World War I.
I went in all by myself, actually, which was probably the dumbest decision I had ever made in my life, because that was, honest to God, the most horrible thing I've ever had to endure. But I saw it as, patriotic, and I just decided to hop on in.
A dream of mine was always to play for the Marines band, and I was a drummer, and I auditioned and got into the Marines band and went through boot camp, and basically we were on a recruiting trip trying to drum up interest for recruits, and a thought popped in my head that I needed to serve my country better, and so I went over to France. And my responsibilities in the war, I was a infantry Marine. I set up razor wire and barbed wire, and I made sure that our front lines were safe. During the war, the best conditions weren't always available for soldiers.
We actually had some really bad circumstances. There was a lot of starvation, some malnutrition. We didn't really reach the extent that a lot of other soldiers did because we were pretty well taken care of, but there were definitely some rough nights. Sometimes we didn't have shelter, and I remember a specific night where we had to sleep out in the rain. Like, rain was actually pouring down on us while we slept out in the open, and it was not a night when I got a lot of sleep.
The United States mainly stayed around the Western Front, which was in France, Belgium, and close to Germany. We stayed pretty close to Paris the whole time. We went to the front once in a while when it was our turn, and then we'd come back somewhere near Paris, and then we would make the cycle, kind of. So it was pretty routine.
We dug holes everywhere, and we just slept in those. We'd dig holes in the sides of buildings, we'd dig holes in the ground, we'd dig bunks, we'd dig everywhere.
Bombardment happened.
Just in case a bombardment happened, we'd have some fair shelter. It was really, really muddy in France at the time, and we just decided to dig through that mud and make a home.
How did soldiers overcome what happened to them while they were in the war?
It was really hard too. You always felt like you were the one that was getting victimized every single time. And you really felt like there was no way out. And there was just always a certain point where I felt like I had no hope left. But you just got to keep on trucking, and you just got to do your job, and you have to do it with faith that someday it's going to end.
What you can get out of this presentation is that the United States had many courageous soldiers who were selfless in order to keep our nation safe. The Western Front was not an easy place to be at the time of the war. Thank you for watching this program. This has been a production of KPMI Industries, the foremost news station.
Misbehaving, I would have to clean the latrines, which wasn't very fun because oftentimes I'd walk out with a bunch of fecal matter on my hands, and I didn't enjoy that. But basically, I would just patrol during the night, and I was a soldier, and I shot people. My name is Lame Deer, and my father was a very noble man. After my real Native American father died, he took me in and was willing to let me worship the Great Spirit, even though he wasn't Native American. Every day I would have a Baconator, large-sized with a Dr. Pepper.